Christopher Walken, you've made, in this last couple of years, these two enormously successful films. I happen to have seen you used to be a singer and dancer, didn't you?
I did. That's a long time ago. You must be old.
Robert Wagner asked me if I would identify her body because he didn't want to. It was the eeriest feeling I've ever had in my life to look at her laying there. The investigation surrounding Natalie Wood's demise has exhausted all leads, but a recent revelation has just been made. Although actress Natalie Wood shot to stardom at 16, her tragic end at age 43 left many to question the circumstances surrounding her final moments for decades. It has been nearly 40 years since film icon Natalie Wood drowned off the coast of California's Catalina Island. But is her demise still tagged as an accident, or with more passing time, have there been answers to the questions that have persisted about what really happened that night? Join us as we uncover the mysteries behind what exactly happened to Natalie. Natalie was 43, which is a somewhat dangerous age for actresses in Hollywood. A glittering Hollywood star, the baffling death of Natalie Wood has, in many aspects, stayed within the mindset of citizens and prompted the production of books and television series. An iconic star of the golden age in Hollywood, Wood was acclaimed for her marvelous acting talent. Sadly, on November 30th, 1981, Natalie Wood was found dead in the icy waters of Catalina Island, some distance from a small boat tied to the side of the Splendor. Then, it was left for family, friends, and fans to deal with the overpowering grief. Many unanswered questions were flying throughout Hollywood amidst the grief, and a somber farewell was given to her at the Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, where even some of the biggest names in entertainment, such as Frank Sinatra, Elizabeth Taylor, and the legendary director Elia Kazan, turned up to pay respect to the departed talent. Similarly, old colleagues remembered Natalie Wood's genius, her uncommon knack for exuding both power and fragility on screen. Sidney Pollack, director of many classic movies, now calls her one of the sensational actresses, underrated on many occasions just because she happened to be a movie star and pretty. She had a combination of vulnerability and a kind of aura, he says. The mystery surrounding Natalie Wood's final moments has always been linked to the official ruling, which states accidental drowning, with speculation from investigators suggesting she must have fallen into the water as she tried to secure the small boat. Yet, to many, that never made much sense. Wood was a lifelong aquaphobe who had an inordinate fear of deep water. Decades later, a haunting question mark remains over the life of a star whose light was extinguished far too soon. Would she have voluntarily placed herself in such a precarious position, or was there another hint of what could have happened that night? The mysterious end. On the night of November 29th, 1981, Hollywood star Natalie Wood was on the yacht Splendor, moored off the coast of California's Catalina Island. She had spent the evening drinking and socializing with her husband, actor Robert Wagner, and her Brainstorm co-star, Christopher Walken. What started as an apparently convivial evening turned dark. Tensions flared between the two men, reportedly over Wagner's increasing jealousy of the close friendship that Wood shared with Walken. Their disagreement bloomed into a heated argument, and, at some point, Natalie left them. Wagner later reported that he went to bed, believing his wife had taken the yacht's small dinghy out onto the water, which he said she had done previously. But alarm set in as time passed, and she didn't return. Wagner's spokesman said he waited about 10 to 15 minutes before calling the harbor patrol. Tragically, Natalie Wood's body was found the following morning at 8 a.m., face down in the icy Pacific waters, a mile from Splendor. The yacht's dinghy washed up on shore, eerily empty nearby. The circumstances of her demise immediately set off speculation. A post-mortem report revealed some disturbing details. Natalie Wood had multiple bruises on her arms and body and an abrasion on her left cheek. But after a scant 2-week investigation, the coroner's official finding was that of accidental drowning. Under this ruling, it was likely that Natalie Wood, who had been drinking, became unsteady trying to get into the dinghy and drowned. Still, from the very first days of Natalie's demise, many friends and followers of the actress-turned-politician found this explanation hard to swallow. After all, the one-time actress had a well-documented, lifelong fear of deep water, making it nearly impossible to believe that she would have gone out alone that fateful night. Adding to the mystery, a woman on a neighboring boat came forward to claim she had indeed heard a woman crying for help during the night that Natalie vanished. In the intervening years, the tragic demise of Natalie would only deepen the mystery, and it remains firmly lodged in the public's imagination. However, what other investigation was carried out to determine what actually occurred that night on board Splendor? A cold case reignited. It has been more than 3 decades since the untimely demise of Natalie Wood, yet a stunning development reignited public intrigue. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department announced in November 2011 that it was reopening its investigation into Wood's demise because new information had come to light. In its statement, it referred obliquely to individuals who had provided new information about what happened on the night of her demise. Among those speaking out was Dennis Davern, captain of the Splendor the night Natalie disappeared. In a televised interview, he recounted disturbing memories that had haunted him for decades. As Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken argued, he said that tension had filled the yacht that night. When an angry Wagner smashed a wine bottle, Natalie, visibly upset, excused herself from the fight, but Wagner followed her. What transpired next, Davern would claim, was a moment that altered everything. He remembered how, as the night wore on, it became apparent that Natalie was missing. But instead of immediately launching a search, an eerie inertia settled over those on board. There had been no crazed scramble to scan the waters, no desperate calls for help. The yacht's searchlights were not turned on, and the authorities were not called in at once. Davern's voice was thick with regret as he admitted more could have been done to aid Natalie, although he drew the line at naming a man he felt was responsible for Natalie's demise. Robert Wagner's camp hinted that those speaking out against him might be trying to cash in on the renewed publicity surrounding Natalie Wood's tragic demise. Meanwhile, Christopher Walken had never wavered in his story and remained tight-lipped over the years. When previously asked about the events of that night, he brushed off speculation, stating simply, "I'd gone to bed." He described it as a terrible tragedy, but one he didn't wish to revisit. Then, in August 2012, the investigation took an eerie turn. The official story, long accepted by the public, was quietly rewritten. Natalie Wood's death certificate, which had previously ruled her passing as an accidental drowning, was amended to list drowning and other undetermined factors as the cause. This ominous change only deepened the mystery, raising more questions than answers. It remained unclear what had truly led to her falling into the water, leaving her final hours shrouded in secrecy. Nearly 4 decades after Natalie Wood's demise, another dramatic development surfaced. In February 2018, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department named Robert Wagner, then 88 years old, as a person of interest in the ongoing investigation. At a press conference, Lieutenant John Carina questioned the long-held belief that Wood had gone out alone in the dead of night, dressed in her nightgown and socks, trying to take the dinghy to shore in rough seas and near-zero visibility. "It makes absolutely no sense," Carina stated. Detective Ralph Hernandez echoed these doubts, pointing to bruises on Wood's body visible in the autopsy results. He suggested they appeared fresh at the time she entered the water, raising the unsettling possibility that she had been harmed before drowning. "She looked like the victim of an assault," Hernandez declared. Yet, despite the suspicions, the case remained unresolved. Investigators admitted they had not been able to prove either homicide or accident, leaving the truth elusive. Wagner continued to deny any involvement, insisting that Wood's death was a tragic accident. Amid all the speculation, one steadfast voice defended Wagner: Natalie's daughter, Natasha Gregson Wagner. Over the years, conflicting opinions about Wood's death even divided her own family. While some doubted the official story, Natasha never wavered in her belief that her mother's demise was an accident. In a 2016 interview, she recalled her last moments with Wood before she boarded Splendor, hugging her mother, telling her she loved her, and wishing her a great trip. That memory, she said, had stayed with her through the years. In her 2020 documentary, Natalie Wood, What Remains Behind, Natasha directly addressed the rumors, calling them outrageous and totally unacceptable. She firmly believed that if her mother had been in danger, Wagner would have given his life to save her. Wagner himself rarely spoke about the case, but in 2020, he reiterated his daughter's unwavering support, insisting she knew he would never have hurt her mother. Natalie's youngest daughter, Courtney Wagner, also defended her father. In 2020, she expressed her frustration over the ongoing speculation, calling the allegations against him disrespectful. She struggled to understand how false accusations against her father continued to circulate for so long. However, not all of Natalie's family shared this belief. Her younger sister, Natalie Wood, had long questioned the official explanation of her sister's death. In 2021, she published Little Sister, My Investigation into the Mysterious Death of Natalie Wood, outlining her suspicions and personal search for answers. Unlike Natasha and Courtney, Lana firmly believed Natalie's death was no accident, adding yet another voice to those questioning what truly happened that night in 1981. Even decades later, the divide between those closest to Natalie remained vast. While one side sought to lay the tragedy to rest, the other refused to let lingering doubts fade into silence. Natalie Wood's career was as dramatic as her personal life. A beloved Hollywood star, she was frequently linked to high-profile romances. She dated Dennis Hopper, Nick Hilton, and even Elvis Presley, but it was her relationship with Robert Wagner that captivated the public. The two first married in 1957 when Natalie was just 18, but by 1962, their fairy tale romance had ended in divorce. Following their split, Natalie dated actor Warren Beatty, but despite her professional success, she struggled emotionally. In 1966, overwhelmed by personal demons, she attempted suicide with a drug overdose. This served as a wake-up call, prompting her to step away from Hollywood to focus on her well-being. In 1969, she married British writer and producer Richard Gregson, finding a brief period of stability. The couple welcomed their daughter Natasha in 1970, but by 1972, their marriage fell apart. Soon after, Natalie found herself drawn back to Wagner. They remarried that same year, choosing family over fame. Their second daughter, Courtney, was born in 1974, and for the remainder of her life, Natalie prioritized her family over Hollywood. Despite their renewed commitment, their marriage was not without challenges. Passion, jealousy, and unresolved tensions lingered beneath the surface. Outwardly, they maintained the image of a devoted couple, until the fateful night in 1981, when everything changed. Natalie Wood's life in Hollywood had begun long before she understood the weight of stardom. Born on July 20th, 1938, in San Francisco to Russian immigrant parents, her mother, Maria, was relentless in shaping her daughter's future. With her mother's guidance, Natalie made her screen debut at just 4 years old. By 1946, she was charming audiences in Tomorrow Is Forever, holding her own alongside Hollywood greats. At 9, she starred in Miracle on 34th Street, cementing her status as a child star. As she transitioned to more mature roles, she landed the part of Judy in Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, opposite James Dean, solidifying her reputation as an icon of teenage rebellion. Her raw performance earned her an Academy Award nomination, but as a contract actress, she had little control over her career. In the early 1960s, Natalie became one of Hollywood's most sought-after leading ladies. Her role in Splendor in the Grass, 1961, alongside Warren Beatty, showcased her emotional depth and secured her another Academy Award nomination. Yet, even as her career flourished, her personal struggles persisted. Natalie Wood's tragic demise remains one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. Decades later, her legacy endures, remembered not only for her immense talent, but also for the unanswered questions surrounding her final moments.